Hello, friends, neighbors in the online internet community. This is Charlotte Piper with Dragonfly Oracle Inc. And I am bringing to you today your weekly reading for the beginning of the month. So I'm going to do a little bit more in-depth of a reading. And the spread I'm working with today is called the Relationship Opener. And it is designed to help give clarity into difficulties that one is facing in relationships. These can be romantic relationships, family relationships, friendships, various different types of relationships. It seems like there's been a little bit of adversarial energy going on lately, and relationships have been kind of a focus for a lot of my clients and also in my own life. So I think this would be a fitting reading for the beginning of the month of September. I have combined two decks because this is a 10-card spread. Wisdom of the Hidden Realms by Colette Baron Reid and the Magical Messages of the Fairies. Maybe just a little bit of jovial energy to sort of balance out some of that more intense energy that we're feeling right now. So, because this is an extended reading, it is going to be a little bit longer of a video, so I would recommend getting comfortable, get yourself some popcorn, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do to make it through. I promise I'll be as succinct as possible. I am going to have to lay out the cards, and this is actually a brand new spread for me. I have read it before in private, but never in a public forum, so I need to pause the camera for a moment while I do lay out the cards. Okay, so now I have laid the 10 cards out in their appropriate places. I did shuffle this deck quite extensively, as a matter of fact, before I even started, and did some cleansing and releasing on the cards just to make sure that we get the most pure message. And I'm going to do my best to show the face of the cards. It's kind of an awkward setup, and for that I apologize, but I will might have to move the camera around from time to time so that you can get a better look at some of these sections. Now, this is going to be read from this direction that way, and then this direction that way, and then back up again. And basically we're exploring two different points of view, which is one person's point of view and the other person's point of view. And then overall consensus of what the issue, the underlying issue may be, what both parties desire to have happen, and the overall theme for why these issues are arising. And then, of course, the last card talks about a direction to go. Sounds pretty easy, right? So let's go ahead and get started in this first position. Okay, folks, so I kind of moved the camera just a little bit and tried to scrunch the spread together a little bit more to provide a better view to those of us who are actually watching the video. And the first position that we will pull is right here. And the first two cards, which is this one and this one, are they address how each partner perceives themselves in relation to the situation at hand, or each person that is playing a part in this relationship struggle perceives themselves. This side is going to be you, this side is going to be the other person. So, position one, here we go. We have the Your Desire is Within Reach card. Beautiful fairy with a pretty pink dress and some purple wings. She says, have faith as everything is working out in your favor. Now, when this shows up in a position that is indicative of how you perceive yourself, it is giving kind kind of a sense of impatience on your part with the other person. Sometimes it seems like no matter what you're doing, they're always unhappy and they simply cannot be happy for you when things go well for you. I'm getting that a lot of relationship tensions are regarding you desiring to pursue your dreams because you've found some type of renewed sense of purpose. You've already made up your mind. This is something you've already made up your mind to do. There's no stopping you. But this other person in the relationship just might be trying really hard to stop you. And you've invested a lot of time and energy into the situation, and you're most certainly not a quitter now, are you? So you're thinking maybe there's some way to make this work. This card is advising to keep pushing forward with or without the other person. If they want to be there, they'll figure out a way to get there with you. If they are in it with you, they'll be there. If not, they will eliminate themselves. You need to be okay with just letting them decide. But now we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Let's see what the second card has to say, which is this guy here. And with the deck with the gray cards, when a card shows up in the upside down position, it is indicative of a challenge. And the card is Gaia's Garden from the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms by Colette Baron-Reid. And the message on the card, I'll flip it over just so you can see that, is fruition, abundance, and reaping what you sow. Now, I get happy when I see the face of this card. It does show up in a challenger position though, which means it was flipped upside down, as I just discussed. And in this case, when the card is upside down, it is obviously an indicator of a challenge on the part of the other person involved in the relationship. And this card is gently nudging you. Part of the reason why you have neglected to leave this unhealthy situation is because you're being lazy. Those are the exact words that I'm receiving. Sometimes the cards can be very blunt. You know what you need to be doing in order to access your own Gaia's Garden of abundance and prosperity. If you're doing anything but that, you are only reaping what you're sowing. Either way, you're reaping what you sow. So shouldn't you be a lot more conscious about what you're sowing? So with respect to the other person, they're kind of seeing that you're starting to feel restless and that you are desiring some type of positive change. And we will kind of get more into that as we move on to this 3 and 4 position, which both address how you feel about the other person and how the other person in turn feels about you. This card is reflective of your personal feelings. And here we go. The card says, what does the card say? Goodbye to the old, hello to the new. You've finished one part of your life and now a new and even better part is beginning. This card actually carries with it an air of finality. It seems like you've gotten to the end of your rope with this person and you're just done. So if that's the case, why haven't you moved on yet? Why dwell on something that you're no longer invested emotionally, spiritually, and mentally in? Are you afraid to be alone? Are you afraid of what your life will look like without this person in it? What is it that you're really afraid of that's keeping you stuck? This card unequivocally indicates that there is a chapter closing in your life, but it's not the end. It is an invitation for a beautiful new beginning. Now we'll see how the other person perceives you. And the card is Connect with Nature. You're rejuvenated and inspired by spending time outdoors. Interesting, isn't it, that it lands right underneath Gaia's garden. This might sound a little, this card might be a little weird for that particular position, but it makes perfect sense to me. You have been getting more in touch with your true nature, and it is fueling your desire to return back to your source for the answers to what's next for you. The other person is uncomfortable because you're showing them their comfort zone, and this is creating a desire in them that is frightening to them. They want to have the same zest and zeal, but they can already see how it is driving the two of you apart and creating differences. They might not be quite as comfortable about making waves as you are, so they are lashing out at you from a sense of envy and insecurity. Forgive them, release them, and move on. Now, I'm going to have to move this down to get a good view of the next two cards. Next two positions discuss how each of you regards this relationship. Of course, this is how you're really feeling. And I'll just flip it over so you can see. It is the Ice Queen, and her message is ideas preserved, non-action, entitlement. And she shows up upside down, so in a challenger position. And it kind of feels like these cards are sort of handing out the good burn in this reading. And I'm not trying to sound antagonistic, but the cards are certainly being that. I'm almost getting the sense of sarcasm, like, you've known what to do for so long, but you've not done it. The Ice Queen is showing up upside down, and she is here to warn you against any sense of entitlement that you feel about being honored in this relationship. Either the person will honor your vision or they won't. Don't get too caught up in any mental gymnastics with the other person that are nothing more than a clever way of stalling you from doing what you know you need to be doing. The Ice Queen is calling for you to release your hold on this relationship too, as it isn't fair to continue to egg the other person on or drag it out any longer. And the next card shows how the other person perceives the relationship. The Web Weaver. Synchronicity, divine intelligence, cause and effect. And Web Weaver is upside down. So I just got done talking about not stringing this person on, and what is this next card that we turn over? The card is saying that it is up to you to cut those cords. The other person is not going to do it. If you want to move forward, cut the cords. The Web Weaver is asking you to be completely honest with yourself and the other person. The other person is confused because you've not made any definitive decisions, so they have hope that this is just a, quote, passing phase for you. But it's not. You're ready and able to move on. Now you've just got to get willing. The next two cards describe what you and the other person desires from the other. First, let's find out what you want. And showing up in that position is children. Children is it does show up upside down. The Fairies deck doesn't necessarily have rules about upside down, but usually when it shows up that way, it is a challenge. And the card, of course, says your connection with children is part of your life's purpose. And the picture is becoming a little bit more clear to me now. This card is, of course, pointing out children, as in children being a challenge to your relationship. It means one of two things. You want children and the other person doesn't, or you have children already and the other person secretly doesn't want them around. As a parent, you sense this. How could you not? This has been a source of tension for quite some time. You know what you desire. If you cannot come to a compromise and get really clear about one another's true desires, you're both going to end up disappointed in the end. Now, the next card is going to talk a little bit about what the other party to the relationship desires. And showing up in that place is the Keeper of the Scales as a challenger. And the Keeper of the Scales is all about fairness and balance. The other person desires to be treated fairly. They feel like their needs and desires are not being recognized by you. They feel like you're getting ahead and you're leaving them behind. The word that keeps coming through a lot is ego. There's a lot of ego at play here and not a lot of love. If the both of you want to get through this with love, you both are going to have to drop the ego and get real with one another. I get a sense of passive aggressiveness from this card. And that behavior will most definitely keep you stuck if it doesn't stop. Okay, so now we're at the point where we're going to be getting into the overall theme of this reading and the direction you should be taking. So let's stop and take a breath, because it kind of feels like we're getting a little bit of a verbal whiplashing. And I just want to say that we're almost done. And at least by the end of this, you'll have a crystal clear idea of what you need to do next. The 9th card of this spread is significant of the overall theme of the relationship, and it shows up here. Let's see, and we have the Cosmos. It is showing up in a challenger position because it is upside down, but this is the only card in the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms deck that can never be presented as a challenger. And I'm almost getting a sense of relief with this card, as a matter of fact. Like, this is what your life looks like if you follow the advice of this reading, which is simply just another message from your higher self interpreted through my vessel. This is a sign to pursue your creative interests and to also be open to creative resolutions to your relationship troubles. Oftentimes, a simple change in your attitude can open the other person up in ways you previously could not have ever expected. If you desire to create a more awesome existence, then do that. Be that. It matters not what anybody else thinks about you. Don't be afraid of losing a friend or even a loved one. Don't take it personally. It's not always about you, they're saying. It takes two to tango in a relationship, but if one person wants to tango and the other one wants to waltz, perhaps it is simply time to release your partner to find someone who is happy to waltz with them. You find your tango partner, or not. Be your own tango partner if that's what you truly want. And with that, we would just go up here. Last card, position 10, it is the direction and or future. And the card is do some research. You need more information about this situation. Look into it further before proceeding. What, of course, this card means is, first thing, if you're considering jumping right into a romantic relationship right after getting out of another one, you need to slow down. The other point, which may be related but could be something for someone else watching this, is to get ready to become a student again. This may indicate a return to school to finish a degree, but it also might mean becoming a student of the universe. Start becoming more mindful. Focus on your intuition. If something seems off, it means that it most likely is. Ask for signs from the universe about your next moves. If you are unsure, and most importantly, ask yourself to be mindful enough to notice those signs when they show up, because they might not always be obvious, and also act when you are urged to do so. Trust your instincts right now. They will not lead you astray. So, there we have it. It's try to get this picture, get them all in the picture. Although the majority of the reading has been quite in your face, it ended with a positive resolution, I think. Whoever you are who needed to see this, there should be no question in your mind now as to the best mode of action for you. Even though it looks like the relationship piece might cause a little discomfort, it seems like it is all for the purpose of giving you and the other person a bright new beginning. Trust in this process. Healing will come as you grow and expand. That pretty much wraps up the reading for this week. I think that's probably about as crystal clear as we could possibly get. I am on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, pretty much anywhere you can imagine. All that information is below as well. And I'm going to be transitioning back into a monthly contest, simply because on a weekly basis I really wasn't getting that many people to respond and participate. So we are going to be stepping it back from a weekly to a monthly contest. And those are only available if you're a member of my email community or my Facebook group. At any rate, I want to take this time to thank you so much for spending the better part of the last 20 minutes with me. And I do hope that this reading has resonated with you and provided you with some positive feedback and guidance, regardless of how kind of in your face it tended to be. Brightest blessings to you in the new week. Feel free to reach out to me if you have questions, or if you are interested in getting a little bit more insight through a personalized reading. Thanks again so much for your time, and I'll talk to you again next week.